Welcome to another episode of Screen Theories. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about the movie that is going to be coming out in a few weeks' time, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which I personally literally cannot wait for. I feel like this movie is just going to be game changing. So many high expectations on this film, but I'm really confident actually that it is going to rise to those high expectations, especially as this is going to be such a massive celebration of everything that the Marvel Cinematic Universe and even movies outside of the MCU have done. Most noticeably, let's discuss of whether or not Hugh Jackman is going to be reprising his role of the iconic Wolverine. So, Toyoto, do you think Wolverine will be in this movie?
Maybe another actor as Wolverine, because Marvel essentially want the longer term projects. You have these actors to be no disrespect there, but to be young enough to portray a character for about a decade or a little bit more. So Hugh Jackman has played this character for 20 odd years. Fantastic. I've loved every portrayal of his. Wolverine wasn't that well scripted, but he was amazing in it. As an actor, I really like him. I respect Hugh Jackman a lot. Really want to see a new actor with the same flair as Hugh Jackman, because he just brings in so much energy as this Wolverine character, and it's really, really hard to find someone that I can think of. I mean, Kevin Feige has a good eye for things, so he'll definitely come up with the most extraordinary, suitable candidate for this role. Definitely, Bruce Campbell will be making an appearance, as he's made appearances in the original Spider-Man trilogy. Just going to be a really fun film in terms of who we'll be seeing, and yeah, it's just all up in the air.
Yeah, literally, it's just going to be such a big celebration, isn't it, of everything that Marvel, the movies, have done. I think they are going to have Wolverine for sure, being a character that's going to continue in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I do think, as you said, probably Hugh Jackman is not going to be that particular actor that is going to be continuing in this role. But I think, Hugh Jackman is just such an awesome guy. And I think he's got such a good relationship with Kevin Feige. And when, all of the X-Men movies were in simultaneous space as the MCU, he did say that he would love to cross over one day. And now we have the opportunity. And I think for all of the reasons that I just said, I think Hugh Jackman is definitely going to be in this movie. And I think the cinema is just going to erupt when he does make his cameo appearance, in the same way that when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire reprised their roles in No Way Home. And also, when Cap caught Thor's hammer, I feel like it's just going to be one of those super, super, super iconic moments. But as you said, I feel like he'll then pass the baton on to a new actor that will continue to play him in the future. Maybe Daniel Radcliffe. A lot of rumors that maybe Daniel Radcliffe will be playing the Wolverine of the future, which I think could be absolutely hilarious. But yeah, like you said, Bruce Campbell, I think it's really interesting that you mentioned him actually, because he has actually recently done an interview where he said that he doesn't even know if whether or not he's going to be in this movie. So he has pretty much confirmed that he has filmed something for this movie, which is going to be really, really cool. I'm sure that because of the fact that he's got such a great relationship with Sam Raimi, that we will see him in this film. And it's a really interesting point in terms of the number of cameos that could be making an appearance in this film, because reportedly there are between 15 to 20 cameos in this film. I think they're going to reserve the last 5, whether or not to include them in this movie or to include them in the next movie after Multiverse of Madness, which currently is going to be Secret Wars, where we're going to see every single person that Marvel has ever created in a massive battle world scenario, with Doctor Doom kind of creating the new world of the future and seeing everybody fighting out. So I feel like some of the characters are going to be reserved for that movie. But yeah, speaking of Sam Raimi, do you think Tobey Maguire will be in this movie? Do you think we'll see Spider-Man in Multiverse of Madness?
I think it'll be definitely fun and interesting to see a Spider-Man within this movie, but realistically, it could be overplayed a bit because they can only bring in so many surprises. After the second, after the third, like you get numb to it. So they can't play all their cards at once. They're gonna spread it out, not throughout every single movie, just to kind of spice things up, how they want to space things out instead of shoving everything into 1, 2, or even 3 movies, because they need something for the next year or the other 10 years down the line. So I think Kevin Feige is a smart enough man to see this.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, isn't it? Because I feel like you are right. You don't want to play all of your cards in one movie. But then that being said, like this is the time to do that. I feel like, you have this opportunity to have the entire multiverse, the Wanda character, Doctor Strange, traveling through America Chavez as well, traveling through the multiverse. I feel like this is the time that you can have all of the brilliant stuff that you want to feature. Apparently, the animated 90s X-Men cartoon will even feature in this movie, which would be really, really cool. I think you're right. Tobey Maguire's kind of had his moment very recently in No Way Home. So I wonder if in this movie they're going to focus on other characters. But, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, I feel like this is definitely not the last time that we've seen them. I feel like they can definitely maybe appear in Across the Spider-Verse, the animated movies. And then, like I said, Secret Wars as well, maybe future Sony projects. I'm really two-minded as to whether or not Tobey Maguire will make an appearance. I feel like part of me does really want to see him, especially because of the heritage of Sam Raimi. We are seeing some of the wild, for example, the Pizza Time space going to be featured in this movie. So I'm two-minded about whether or not we're actually going to see him, but it would be really awesome to see him. But another character that I think will be absolutely wicked to see is Superior Iron Man, Tom Cruise. Do you think Tom Cruise is going to be in this film?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of rumors on this as well. And I think it'll be definitely interesting to see Tom Cruise's take on this, because as like a lot of us know, Tom Cruise was originally going to be the Iron Man instead of Robert Downey Jr. But I think Robert Downey, he did such an incredible job. He established the entire MCU because of that character and the aura and the energy that he brings to that character. So I think definitely did a lot, but it'll be interesting for us fans because we've seen What Ifs. So what if in this world we're getting the live action of the iteration of Iron Man, but being iterated by Tom Cruise? As we know, Tom Cruise is in so many movies. Would like to see how Tom Cruise would play that character.
Yeah, I agree with you. Especially as you said, Tom Cruise was originally going to be playing Iron Man first and foremost when Robert Downey Jr. was going to be playing him. So I think he'll be so wicked. I think Tom Cruise is definitely going to be in the MCU. As to whether or not he's going to play this variant version of Iron Man, I guess we're going to find out very soon. But I think for sure, Tom Cruise will be in the MCU in one way, shape, or form. But I think you're right. I think Superior Iron Man could be such an interesting character. And he's such a wicked character in the comic books. And we have seen that actually the Ultron Sentinels are going to be listening and obeying in the whole Illuminati space. So I feel like that definitely means that there is going to be some kind of an Iron Man figure in this movie, because obviously the Ultron Sentinels are going to be listening to this person. And obviously, if we go down that road, then actually Iron Man doesn't go down the road that we see in the MCU, where you see a redemption arc and you see the Tony Stark character actually going down the nice road. If that didn't happen, then he would stay being a really cocky character. And I think that really superior, arrogant version of Tony Stark and of Iron Man could just be such cinematic gold. And I would take either Robert Downey Jr. or Tom Cruise playing that character, which I think would be really, really exciting. But the next group of characters, speaking of the Illuminati, I feel like Reed Richards is going to be part of that, which means that the Fantastic Four might also be in this movie. I think it'll be absolutely hilarious if they bring the original Fantastic Four, all the movies back from the early 2000s, if they get Jessica Alba back, if they get Chris Evans. I think there are just so many brilliant moments that you can have certain characters thinking that he's going to be Steve Rogers and Captain America. And then actually you find out that he's Johnny Storm and Human Torch. I feel like those moments could be absolutely hilarious. So I'm really hopeful that we see the original Fantastic Four. I actually really, really, really like those movies. And then I think in a similar way, though, like we were saying with Wolverine, they can then hand the baton to a new younger cast. I feel like that could be quite cool. So what are your thoughts? Do you reckon we'll see Fantastic Four in this movie?
I think given the runtime for what Doctor Strange 2 has, they've got to establish a lot of things. For example, Scarlet Witch's storyline and the multiverse, and with the different variations of Doctor Strange, like Defender Strange and the Doctor Strange with the third eye on the forehead and the one with the many, many arms, and also American Chavez. There's so many things that they have to accomplish. So I think the chances are low, but in terms of seeing some of the older characters, as you said, Johnny Storm with Chris Evans, it's likely. Jessica Alba, I'm not so sure, but I think Chris Evans is a very, very likely candidate for that.
Yeah, Chris Evans has been doing so many cameos lately, hasn't he? Especially in Free Guy, which was absolutely hilarious. And you are right, like this movie is going to have just over 2 hours as a runtime, and it's got so much to do, doesn't it? It's got Defender Strange, Supreme Strange, zombie Doctor Strange. It's got Wanda. It's got these massive battles. We've got Mordo. We've got all the Doctor Strange aspects. We've then got all the cameos, and then we've got the multiverse being destroyed. So you are right. I feel like they are going to limit the number of cameos, but I hope that still they're able to balance it. I'm sure they will balance it really, really effectively. As you know, with No Way Home, they had a lot of stuff happening in that movie. Obviously, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, all of the iconic villains returning as well. But they were really great in terms of ensuring that the storyline was the thing that is going to be front and center. And so I am really confident they'll do that here. But I'm just really hopeful as well that we'll see some awesome cameos, which, like I said, only a few days away, which would be absolutely wicked. The last people that I wanted to talk about was the TV era of the Marvel characters. So I think Ben Affleck is definitely the man of the moment right now. Everybody wants him back as Batman. And I feel like it'll be really, really hilarious as well to see him back as Daredevil. But maybe even the TV era of characters, Punisher, I feel like Punisher would be really, really wicked here. So what are your thoughts? Do you feel like we'll get to see Daredevil and those kind of Midnight Sun characters appearing in this movie as well?
We've got Charlie Cox already from Spider-Man No Way Home. So that kind of established his character. And also we've had Kingpin from the Hawkeye series. So it's a matter of time before they bring back Punisher and some of the other characters in the Defender series. In terms of Ben Affleck's Daredevil, it'll be a really, really fun one to see because, I mean, we've seen these films when we were kids in the early 2000s. Like,
I remember.
they were really good. Like, they were a really, really fun time and fun movies to watch.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And I think, Charlie Cox, we're definitely going to be seeing Matt Murdock and Daredevil and his Daredevil version in a lot of future projects. So he's reportedly going to be in Echo. He's also going to be in She-Hulk. He's also going to have his own TV series. And he's then going to be elevated into Midnight Suns, the movie, and other movie projects as well. So you're right. We're going to be seeing a lot of Daredevil going forwards. But speaking of the TV era of Marvel, two characters that I do actually think, like you said, that can fit into this kind of darker, eerier world. The first one is from The Gifted, is Polaris. So I feel like Polaris is going to be so good in this series. She's firstly the daughter of Magneto, which means that she's the sister of Wanda. And I would love to see Polaris, brilliantly played by Emma Dumont, from the Gifted TV series interacting with Wanda. I feel like that's going to be cinematic gold. And that series was just super underrated. I wish we got the third season of The Gifted because it had such brilliant potential, but also from The Runaways, which was another one of my favorite Marvel TV shows. And I feel like Nico, with her staff being able to use dark magic, she's got her own version of the Darkhold as well. I feel like she can brilliantly fit in with the whole Doctor Strange craziness that's going on. So I'm really hopeful, I'm really confident actually that we'll see both of those characters coming from the TV space into Multiverse of Madness. But obviously, Multiverse of Madness isn't the only upcoming Marvel movie. We've, of course, got Thor 4, Love and Thunder, which I know you're a really big fan of. So what are you most excited? What are you most excited about seeing in this film?
As a whole, it's been an interesting journey for Thor's character to grow and to evolve because personally, I wasn't a fan for with the first two films. Especially the second one where the angle was like this or this, like tilted in a very stylish, artistic way, which wasn't really the thing for me. But in terms of Thor Ragnarok, evolved him to a Thor where he's more relatable, he's a more fun and open up character. The villain with Cate Blanchett's Hela really did help as well because we've always had Loki. Hela was a really good one. So that movie really helped. And also with Taika Waititi's direction of Ragnarok, which I think he'll definitely pulling a lot of the elements from that movie. It'll be really interesting to see what kind of improvs that they do. As we've seen in the teaser trailer already, we've seen his interaction with Star-Lord, had a really interesting chemistry from the Endgame movie. It'll be an interesting journey and it'll pave the way for Guardians 3, which James Gunn is coming back for, which I'm really pleased about because I think he understands the property and he knows how to bring fun to the audience as a whole for these characters.
I completely agree with you. I think James Gunn definitely has his own particular creative vision, and you can definitely feel a James Gunn movie when you're watching a James Gunn movie. And you're right, Thor 4 is going to be packing in so much, isn't it? Very similar to Multiverse of Madness. I feel like all of the upcoming Marvel movies, they have so much to contend with, which is really, really great. And it's really interesting, actually. As you said, the Guardians are, of course, going to be in this movie, as we did see see at the end of Endgame that Thor is now with the Guardians of the Galaxy, where he hilariously called them the Asgardians of the Galaxy, which I thought was really, really wicked. I think before COVID happened, the original plan was for the Guardians 3 movie to be released before Thor 4, but obviously they had to move a lot of schedules around. So now we're going to be seeing the Guardians kind of concluding their storyline with Thor at the start of this movie. But then I feel like I said, that's going to be happening quite early on. Then they're going to disappear and we're going to meet them again in the third Guardians movie. And then we're going to be focusing on the Thor character. And I feel like it's going to be really, really interesting, as what we've seen so far from the teaser trailer is that Thor is going to be really finding himself. And this is something that I love about all the Marvel movies, that each one is really distinct and really, really different. So for example, with the first Ant-Man movie, we had a bit of a heist movie. With the first Spider-Man Homecoming movie, we had a bit of a teen movie. And this time we see a bit of a god figure who now doesn't have Asgard. He doesn't have his hammer anymore, really, really lost, doesn't really know what to do with himself. And I feel like it's going to be a really interesting journey that the iconic Thor character is going to go down. I think it's really interesting, as you mentioned as well, the first original 2 Thor movies, very, very different in terms of style. I mean, I'm a bit of a purist, so I quite liked the first 2 movies, as this is the true version of the Thor character that we've seen, in the animations and in the comic books, most importantly as well. But Thor 4 just completely transformed everything, didn't it? And I think Chris Hemsworth was getting a little bit bored of the Thor that he was playing in the first 2 movies and in the Avengers as well. So I feel like he really relished the opportunity to play this more comedic side. So for sure, we're going to see that comedic side in this movie as well. And like you said, we're going to have Natalie Portman playing the female Thor, and Gore the God Butcher, and Zeus. So much stuff going to happen in this movie. Literally can't wait for Thor 4 to land. But now we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what cameo you think is going to be making an appearance in Multiverse of Madness, and what you're most looking forward to seeing in Thor 4. And we look forward to seeing you in another Screen Theories video very, very soon.